did your test go? He smiled like a shark. I knew you'd do great. You always do. Can't be sure until the results are posted. That is every student's fear ever. I'm sure. And how was your day? Well, you know, the usual. I told him about Arcee making a rude comment about the size of my butt and the jokes Angelo and I had exchanged afterwards, and watched his eyes darken the more I said Angelo's name. You really like pushing my buttons, don't you? Maybe. How about I push yours instead? Excuse me. Excuse me. This is a PG. I am more than open to the idea. Sometimes it was fun to play with fire. Sure. So that was it. My exams were concluded. The final grades wouldn't be recorded for some time. I suspected the instructors wanted to sneak in a little vacation before going all over the papers. But I wasn't worried. I thought I'd done pretty well. I swear so many people think that. That's probably not the case, I'm sorry to tell you. The June sunlight warmed my hair. It wasn't too hot, unlike now. My God, you can see the palpable sweat on my face. This was still England after all, but it was nice. That's a lie. It's like fucking 31 degrees Celsius right now. They're lying. It's hot. The flowers were in bloom, the water's ripples licked at the banks, fluffy clouds sailed up overhead. I had learned to love it here. But soon I would just have to leave it all behind. Apparently. So what's going to happen between the thrilling climax between Jealous Man and me? Late one night, late as in 2 in the morning late, there was a knock at my door. I shifted groggily out of bed and stumbled over to the door, opening it with a yawn, I swear. If this is Peggy. Yes. Well, okay. Arcee pushed her way into my room, smelling like the restroom of a gay nightclub. Why a gay nightclub? They're just the same as a nightclub as far as I'm aware. She sat down square in the middle of my room, arms crossed. Do you want something? I was kind of in the middle of sleeping. Arcee sighed and glared at me. Look. Look here, little miss. Little miss. Perfect shoes. Little princess perfect plummy. She sniffed and ran her hand across her face, and I realised she was drunk. It took you that long. Wow. I'm here, and I'm going to tell you a few things, so you can't judge me anymore, okay? It's private. I wasn't going to tell you, but now I am, so listen up. I don't know. Get her to her bed now that that's presented as an option. Seems like something I'd probably want to do, but I guess I'll just hear her out. I plopped myself down on the floor like an elementary school student, crisscross applesauce. Crisscross apple? What the fuck is that? What? Okay. It must be a weird American saying. Okay, so I have reasons that I'm like this, and those reasons are that 1, I'm poor, 2, I'm stupid, and 3, this is all I have going for me. She motioned down to her torso. Was she referring to her body? I need money. Money. I need to survive in this world somehow. You know, I'll do what it takes. Money easy. Easy money. I thought back to the day we met, the day I caught her in the presidential suite with a hotel guest. Was she having sex for money? Probably. Unfortunately, there have been incidents that have been happened to me in the past that made it difficult for me. I won't get into it, it's too poor me. Poor Arcee's suffered the fate worse than death. Poor girl, let's pity her and treat her like she's defective. Let's not. But now you understand, right? The world is different between me and you. You can pick and choose and get anything you want out of life. Anybody you like, Miss New York. It's easy for you, not for me. This is how all I can ever be. I don't know, if you did well in university and put on a jumper occasionally, you'd probably get far. Also, maybe not only wear that red dress from now until the end of eternity. If you did that, maybe you'd get somewhere. Who knows? See, that's not true. I don't want to hear it, but she clasped her hands firmly over her ears. La 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 la. Shh, be quiet. I don't want your pity. I just wanted your understanding. Do you understand? She nodded. I nodded, even, and she stood. Good. You know, in another life, maybe we could have been friends. Wouldn't that have been weird? Now then, good night. She flung her arm into the air and imitation of a wave and crept out of my door. Oh, and don't tell anybody about this. I won't. Good night. I feel we achieved nothing by doing that, other than stuff we already knew for the most part. She left again. I shut the door behind her, turned out my light, and pressed space, and crawled into bed. There we go. I didn't skip it this time. A fate worse than death and no future, I see. It didn't excuse any of her actions, it didn't excuse the way she was thinking about herself or the world, but it made me sad. Certainly pity was the last thing she wanted from me, but still I felt bad for her. I mean, she definitely did steal money and pretend it was us, and, like, that is definitely bad. It's still awful. With those thoughts in my mind, I drifted off into a troubled sleep. Like, she's not getting that money and giving it to troubled, like, orphans, you know? The university exam period had concluded, everyone's tests were done, and the semester was officially over. I know, you said a few days ago. To celebrate, we were having a tiny party at the hostel. Ashley had baked a cake, and James had even deigned to provide some ice cream. I don't know what deigned means. If he'd really wanted to be generous, he could have sprung for us all to party at the Crafty Grounds, as he's a friend of the owner, but I knew better than to expect that much. You're lucky you got ice cream. You're lucky you paid for the ice cream. The tension from my betrayal had slowly faded away. The real culprit behind the thefts had never been caught or punished, and it felt like most people had stopped holding it against me. Looking around the room, I realised I had less than 3 weeks left in England. It was almost time for me to go home. Yeah, you've been saying that for a while. All the people that I'd met here, all the adventures we'd had, dinners with Ashley, fights with Angelo, weird conversations with Mark, Peggy's effervescent energy, Danny's guidance, Chihio's artwork, even Arcee and Brendan, even James. Soon I wouldn't be able to see them soon. You know what? Only one of those sounds bad. The rest of those sound fine. I had seen the same people every day for weeks, and that would no longer be the case. It was a strange feeling, but I was startled to realise that I wasn't all sad, at least not yet. Maybe it was because I was already detaching myself from them. To some extent, I had come here to broaden my horizons and learn how to live in different ways, to help out how I wanted to be. Yes, and you've been framed, shouted at by a bunch of annoying people. In fact, you've only got along with literally one person. Like, maybe part of me was ready for the next step, the next adventure, the next stage in my life. Well, there are a couple weeks left. Whatever I wanted to get done, I'd better make the best of it. Indeed. Well, we just got a whole week fast forward. 5, 6, 7, go! I waved my arms furiously through the air that spun in a grand circle. My room swirled around me, far slower than it should have gone. Stop, stop. Okay, Pigo, I told you, the turn needs to happen on a 2 count. How am I supposed to choreograph the next 2 beats if you keep taking up the whole measure? Are we dancing? I'm not a dancer. What are you even expecting of me? Peggy slung an arm around my shoulder. Listen, haven't you always wanted to be famous? No. Not since my English teacher assigned us to read a pile of tragic child star biographies. Well, I have. It's an online talent competition, you see. You make your own video and upload it to the site, and the people who get the most thumbs up will get to be on TV. Yeah. Regional British talent shows that you appear on briefly in form of video clip are pretty much guaranteed celebritydom for ages. I always wanted to, well, saying that, in England we do love a good Z-list celebrity. And here on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here in the Jungle with Weird Creepos is a newsreader from the 70s. Okay, not entirely sure who this is now aimed at. Anyway, I always wanted to sing on telly, and my mates in rattle prams will never let me take the mic. She's friends with a band. If they won't let her sing, there's probably a reason. I have to give it my best shot, don't I? I have to make a great video, and I can't do it without your help. So please, give it one more go for me. I rolled my neck and wiggled my shoulders, stretching out the tension of them. Heaven help me. Yes, fine, I'll do it for you, Peggy. Yay, thank you, Augie Piggy. Remember, don't tell anybody what's been going on. I'm only telling you, not even Danny. I want to surprise everybody if I get through, okay? It'll be our little secret. A secret between friends. There is no chance this is ever going to work. Right, whatever you say. She grinned. Alright, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8 more beats. No, let's not go into steps. Needless to say, we did not win the contest. Our video barely got any views. Which on the bright side means that not very many people can make fun of us for how bad it was. At least we had a fun time making it together. I'll be the judge of that, thank you very much. And another week flies by. We only have 1 week left. You ready to go? Yeah, sure. Danny showed up at my door looking nice as usual in his well-fitting clothes that he always wears. He always dressed well. The only exceptions were when he was working out or not wearing clothes. Hey, you can dress well when you're not wearing clothes. How dare you? Yep. I locked my door and followed Danny out the hostel, practically skipping with excitement. So what's the surprise? Surely you can tell me now that we're on the date. Be patient, why don't you? We're nearly there. We are? Danny gestured to a little shop on the corner just ahead of us. A cafe. A cafe we have been to before. A cafe, a very generic looking cafe at that. Not just a cafe, the cafe where I first unveiled who I was to you, the cafe where you started to get to know the real me. Started is right, a man of 1,000 secrets. He waved an impatient hand. Anyway, we're celebrating the start of a relationship here. It's symbolic. I need to talk to you about something. Don't get all nervous. You must have noticed me tense up. I nodded and took some deep breaths. It's nothing bad, but I thought... Well, let's go in. After you. It's not so bad. You're just dumped. He opened the door for me with a grand flourish and I entered, face warm. Oh, God, shooting pain. People were staring throughout the cafe, many women giving me approving nods. Motherfuckers, he could be my brother. I'll get our drinks. You want us to grab the table? Sure. In accordance with Danny's symbolic tendencies, I politely asked a couple to move from the table we sat in when we first came to the cafe. It wasn't hard to remember the table, the one next to the entryway and right up against a window. The couple acquiesced. Nowhere near that word, though I couldn't tell whether it was because I asked nicely or because they could sense something was up. Finally, Danny came round with the drinks, holding me a minty mocha. I'm struggling with words all of a sudden. Then yours is, let me guess, the odd black tea thingy. Well, you're handling British English very well. You're just adding Y on the end of things. Odd black tea, I like it. They should use that officially in the menus. I'll pitch it to them next time. He winked at me and I flushed again. Why'd you do flush there? He winked at you. You've been dating for a while now. Not fair. Completely fair. He grinned, taking a sip from his cup, then he set his hands down together on the table and looked at me. Well then, I suppose I should get this started. I nodded hesitantly. Right. He swallowed and tugged at the collar of his shirt. I tried to hold back my surprise. Danny was never nervous, literally never nervous. Even when he told me he was an ex-convict, he hadn't seemed this nervous. What was going on? Well, he's going to dump you. Well, you see, I've come to ask you to make a choice. He swallowed again and interlaced his fingers together. I have come to care about you a great deal. Yes, one might even be able to say that I've come to love you, Ogupigu. Oh, it's so romantic. If I didn't know what the definition of romantic was. He cleared his throat. I opened my mouth, but he gave a short shake of the head. He wasn't finished. In light of this, and in light of my disposition, I feel it is necessary to make this choice now, or at least in the next coming few days, before things get out of hand. You know what kind of man I am, you know my tendencies towards jealousy and possession. I'm not proud of them, but you have been willing to accept me as I am. I never want to control your behaviour, and I never want to manipulate you or make you feel as though behaviour's spelled wrong, as though you can't or shouldn't do something. Danny speaking, there's no excuse. I believe I've already made this clear to you. In order to do this effectively, I've been holding back somewhat. I've been not entirely thinking of you as mine, I suppose you could say. Of course, semantics and all that, you will never and can never truly be mine, as you are your own person, but... He cleared his throat again. What I am asking you to choose is this. Either you leave me now and we can maintain a relationship as friends, or nothing, if that suits you better. Or you accept that you are mine now and forevermore, and I will follow you and be by your side forever, for better or for worse. scary wording he's using, isn't it? You accept that you are mine, now and forevermore. We've known each other for we've been dating for about 4 or 5 months, Danny. That's a bit weird. That sounded suspiciously like a marriage proposal. So, Ogipigu, he looked at me, and for the first time in my history of knowing him, I saw fear in his eyes. What do you choose? That's too much. Alright, well, I mean, I'd ask you guys, but I know what you're gonna pick. So, we've gotten so far. Next episode, we'll pick it and destine ourselves to a life of being, I presume, doomed. Completely doomed. In, like, Tottenham or something.